Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor said an overdose of adrenaline left him unable to sweat. So what now after his birthday began with a surprise arrest? The former prince has been accused of sharing confidential information with the sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Andrew is now under investigation, but back home. There will be questions for those in his orbit during his friendship with Epstein, such as Amanda Thirsk, Andrew's former private secretary, who arranged his stay at Epstein's house in 2010. The Met Police say they will now be contacting the protection officers who worked closely with Andrew, including those who accompanied the former prince to Epstein's mansion in New York, where they were arranged a room. Attention may also be drawn to David Stern, the German close aide, who now reportedly lives in Dubai. Stern was a middleman deployed by Epstein to gather inside information and even gained access to the Queen. The sexual allegations made by Virginia Giuffre against Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor are not the subject of the investigation, but some believe is the motivation.
The misconduct in public office is probably an easier offence for the police to start an investigation. It's an extremely difficult offence to achieve a conviction. What may be the case, and there's two lines of approach here. One is that the police are using this as an angle in, as a way of looking for further evidence to back up the misconduct offence allegation, but also to look for evidence in relation to the more serious, in my view, the more serious sexual offending, whether anything like that has happened.
The royal response has been a vague focus on Epstein's victims, but the US president, who has referred to himself as a king, was thinking about the monarchy.
Well, you know, I'm the expert in a way because I've been totally exonerated. That's very nice. I can actually speak about it very nicely. I think it's a shame. I think it's very sad. I think it's so bad for the royal family. It's a very, very sad. To me, it's a very sad thing. When I see that, it's a very sad thing. To see it and to see what's going on with his brother, who's obviously coming to our country very soon, and he's a fantastic man, the king. So I think it's a very sad thing.
In the US, there is a call for Andrew to testify to Congress on what he knows about Epstein. But the criminal investigation now gives the former prince grounds to decline. The arrest could also become a shield. There is concern that the arrest of Andrew may now restrict reporting on his place in the Epstein files due to contempt laws. So what happens now? Despite the loss of Andrew's titles, Parliament will now consider also removing his right to inherit the throne as eighth in line. Andrew has always denied any wrongdoing, but with multiple allegations made, there are lines of inquiry across more than one force. Now the Met is approaching Andrew's former protection officers and urging anyone with new information to come forward. The man born Prince Andrew is formally a suspect of investigation.
Well, I've been speaking to Di Davis, who was head of the Royal Protection Command from 1994 to 98. And I began by asking him how much time protection officers would typically be around the royals.
Well, the truth is that royalty protection officers are there 24/7 to protect them. They have to use their discretion, knowledge and experience as to when they should be there. Clearly, they don't sleep in a bed next to them. They're not in bedrooms next to them. And quite often, if they have guests, they are somewhere discreet, but able in the event of an incident to react quickly and succinctly.
But culturally, I mean, this must become a very close relationship. And I suppose people will wonder, is the culture, you know, you turn a blind eye. You turn a blind eye to things that may be dubious but not criminal. And does that mean that you might turn a blind eye to things that might be criminal too?
If a police officer, protection officer, or any other kind of police officer, there is a duty to act if they see any criminality. And if they can't do it instantly, then clearly they would have to resort to informing their line managers and in turn, somebody like me who would take the appropriate action. If they don't take action, I would be aware of it. They would be probably suspended and investigated. No ifs, no buts.
I mean, we are in unprecedented waters though now, aren't we? I mean, I suppose the problem will be that if protection officers come to be interviewed, if they now admit seeing things that were potentially criminal, they themselves might be facing at least disciplinary action and possibly the criminal law.
Well, don't forget, this is going back many years now, 20 years plus in some instances. So many of them will have retired. So clearly, they will have to decide with their conscience and their moral compass what they did or didn't see. So it beggars belief to my mind that for 15, 20, whatever years it is that we're now looking at, nobody, police officers, private secretaries, those accompanying diplomats, to me, and I've summarized it by saying it's a conspiracy of silence by some people. It must be.
When it comes to trying to break through what you've called a conspiracy of silence, isn't it going to be especially difficult given the people you are dealing with, the conspirators, are experts in the law?
Well, the silence extends far beyond police officers. That's my point. They are merely one of the key elements, but arguably there are many, many more across a wide range, from diplomats, private secretaries, and members, senior members who advise the royals. Common sense says somebody must have seen aspects of behavior that I would have thought visiting the various properties Epstein had, not once, not twice, but numerous times, that no one could have seen anything untoward. And that's the point I'm making. But it needs investigating. To allege these things is one thing, to prove it is another, as you well know.
So the picture of Andrew with Virginia Giuffre with his arm around her, there would have been a protection officer there. The picture of him, with Epstein, there would have been a policeman there. They were everywhere.
You're right in the assumption they're there. How close they are depends on the circumstances, the location, and what the principal is asking them to do.
Di Davis, thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure.
It's too soon for polling, perhaps, but around Sandringham in North Norfolk, where he was arrested yesterday, how is the news of his arrest being digested by local people? Our chief correspondent, Alex Thompson, has stepped away from the muddy media stakeout at the former prince's home to find out.
No, this isn't the church where the royals parade on Christmas Day year after year. No, police surrounding this place of worship is not normal. And no, the media don't usually stake out this particular mud patch for days on end. So no, it is not business as usual on the estate, as it is not for the royal family. However, the king may claim otherwise. Every vehicle coming and going hosed down by the media. Last night's emblematic car shot tells you why. The paddock opposite the entrance to Mr. Mountbatten-Windsor's temporary home, now a media car park for the foreseeable. Complete with tasteful, crown-embossed signage, letting the story take its course, you might say. Yesterday, in the maelstrom of breaking news, there really wasn't time to do anything but remain glued to our mud patch here. But today, perhaps, an opportunity to ask people in the area more widely, what do they make of what's happened to Andrew, and more particularly, where does it leave their opinions of the royal family? Downham Market, not far away, and that high street gem, an independent bookshop, Words and Wonder. Booksellers Penny and Sarah unimpressed with the former prince.
If he needs to be questioned, he should be questioned, quite frankly. Yeah.
You're with the king, the law should follow its course.
Yeah, exactly. Quite right. Well, the rest of us have to follow the law, so why not?
I was surprised they arrested him yesterday on his birthday. I think that was a bit of a big surprise for everybody. And I do wonder if he's being held up as a scapegoat at the moment, so other people may be hiding behind that noise that's being created.
But it won't change their views of the monarchy one jot.
I think round here people respect the royal family. They're very used to having them around.
A few doors along, Ahmed invited us into his cafe. The local Andrew consensus here.
What have your customers been saying?
Yeah, that it's disgusting that we've actually had to pay for him to go over to America and what he's been doing.
But has this changed their views, do you think?
The one today was the Queen would be turning in her grave.
But again, they still support the monarchy as an institution.
Can't tar them all with the same brush, because you've got some really good royal family and you've got some that are quite lazy and do nothing.
Out on the street, the same consensus.
Yeah, I'm a royalist and I feel sorry for them, and we like Charles and Camilla.
I think the royal family, they have their place, absolutely. But no, I think Andrew, he needs his accountability for this.
In North Norfolk near Sandringham, outright Republicans are perhaps an endangered species, but they do exist.
Personally, I've got no time for the royals, any of them. He shouldn't be here. There's plenty of other places around, you know, he could have been sent and instead he gets exiled here. But I mean, in all fairness, send him to Epstein Island. It's out of the way, it's, you know.
All this a million miles, of course, from scientific polling, but clear indications that many people feel Andrew is one thing, Charles and the firm quite another.